Factsverse presents Secrets Flight Attendants Don't Want You to Know. Number 1. Free or discounted airfare. For most people, the most expensive part of taking a trip is the cost of the flight. If you're a flight attendant, this is not something that you need to worry about. Depending on the airline that a flight attendant works for, they would either get free or heavily discounted prices on both domestic and international travel. If a flight attendant has a vacation coming up, they can take advantage of this benefit, making for a very low-cost vacation. Number 2. Flight attendants must have specialized training. When you're in the air on a plane, anything can happen the same way it can happen if you're on the ground. The only problem is that in the air, you can't get the same kind of help you would if you're on the ground. That's why it's so important that flight attendants are able to handle all types of situations when the plane is in the air. Before becoming a flight attendant, you need to have medical training. If somebody on board becomes sick or injured, the flight attendant would need to be able to handle that emergency. But let's face it, there's not always going to be a doctor on the plane the way there is in the movies. Flight attendants must also be trained in conflict resolution. Since passengers can't walk away or get in their car and drive off when they're in the air, while the flight attendant needs to be able to help resolve issues on the plane before they turn into full-blown fights. Finally, all flight attendants are trained in self-defense. If something should happen on the plane and the flight attendant or a passenger is attacked, the flight attendant would need to be able to defend themselves. Number 3. Flight attendants know when two people are in the bathroom together. If you're planning to travel by plane with your significant other and you have hopes of joining the Mile High Club, you might want to think twice about that. You might think that the flight attendant will just be too busy to realize that you're sneaking into the bathroom together, but they're not that busy. Flight attendants always know who is away from their seat, who is in the bathroom, and who is waiting in line. If you want to get frisky with your significant other, you need to wait until you get to your destination. Number 4. The flight attendant can get into a locked bathroom. If you think you can lock yourself in the airplane bathroom during the entire flight and monopolize the bathroom, you are wrong. While the bathroom does have a lock on the inside, there's also a mechanism on the bottom of the door that can be reached by the flight attendant outside of the bathroom to get the door open in case of an emergency. As long as you use the bathroom in a timely manner, you don't have to worry about the flight attendant walking in on you. If you're in the bathroom for a long period of time and you don't respond to them knocking on the door, well, the flight attendant does have the right and the means to open up that door from the outside. Number 5. The bathrooms might be dirty. Unfortunately, the bathrooms on airplanes are not always the cleanest. The bathroom on an airplane doesn't get cleaned in between flights. In many cases, the bathroom can go days before it's cleaned. Since the bathroom is likely dirty, you might want to wait until you land to relieve yourself. And be sure to use that bathroom in the terminal before you get on the plane, too. Number 6. The water on the plane might not be clean. This is one of the biggest secrets flight attendants don't want you to know. Airlines and flight attendants will tell you that the water on the plane is clean, however, there is a chance that it's not as clean as they led you to believe. Since the water tanks on airplanes aren't cleaned regularly, it means the water might not be clean. It's best to bring your own water to drink on the plane. It's also best to avoid coffee and tea on board because they're made with that dirty water. Number 7. Your tray table is likely dirty too. There are over 200 seats on most planes, and each seat has its own tray table. Unfortunately, airlines don't have the time between flights to clean each of the tray tables every single time. Even if they did have the time, chances are they probably wouldn't do it anyway. If you're planning to eat on your tray table or do anything else on that tray table, you should bring your own antibacterial wipes. There could be hundreds of diseases living on your tray tables. If you want to remain healthy, you should take the initiative to clean your tray table yourself. Number 8. Flight attendants often date each other or the pilots. Flight attendants spend long periods of time in close quarters. Pilots do too. Those close relationships often result in employees dating each other. It doesn't happen with every flight attendant, however, it is very common. Number 9. Flight attendants get free hotel rooms. When flights land and the crew is staying in the city for the night until their next flight, they don't pay a dime. One of the perks of being a flight attendant is that the airline pays for your hotel room. The room may not be a 5-star hotel, but the airline does make sure that the flight attendants are comfortable. Without these benefits, it would cost more to be a flight attendant than they get paid. Staying in a hotel room several nights a week can get really expensive. Number 10. The flight attendants know the identity of the air marshal. Since the 9/11 attacks in the United States, most airlines have an air marshal on board. This is to protect both the passengers and the airplane. The passengers aren't told which person on the plane is the air marshal, however, the flight attendants do have this information. If anything were to happen on the plane and the flight attendant needs some backup, they would need to know the identity of the air marshal. Also, flight attendants are not allowed to tell passengers which one of them is the air marshal. Even if the passengers ask, they cannot give up the identity. Number 11. Flight attendants don't get paid for grounded flights. Like most people who work for a living, flight attendants punch a clock. What you might not know, though, is that these people don't start getting paid until the airplane doors have closed. If a plane is grounded for a few hours but the doors haven't been closed yet, the flight attendants on board, they're working for free. The next time you're annoyed by a grounded flight, think about the flight attendants who aren't even getting paid. That should make you feel a little bit better about the delay. At least you're not working for free. Number 12. They don't get paid as much as you might think. Flight attendants spend their days and nights on their feet taking care of over 200 people per flight. That can be an exhausting job. Unfortunately, they get paid much less than what they deserve. Flight attendants don't get paid for delays, which takes money out of their pocket. For example, if a flight attendant works a 12-hour day but the flight was delayed by 3 hours, well, they're only paid for 9 hours. The average starting salary for a flight attendant is only $16,000 per year. The average salary for an experienced flight attendant is $37,000 per year. Considering that the job can be physically and mentally exhausting, flight attendants are grossly underpaid. Number 13. Most flight attendants pack a lunch. When you're flying long distance, you're given a meal on the plane. You might think that since the flight attendants are serving you food, they'll be going to their little area to eat the same meal you are. The truth is that most airlines don't provide meals for the flight attendants. Because of this, flight attendants need to pack a lunch to keep them nourished during the flight. They are allowed to have a snack or two on the airline's dime, but meals have to be brought from home. The next time you're eating your airline-prepared meal, keep in mind that your flight attendant doesn't have that perk. Number 14. Flight attendants have a place to sleep. Planes that often fly long-haul flights are designed by those that are designed to fly 5- or 6-hour flights. During these long-haul flights, flight attendants would need to get some rest. Therefore, these planes are designed with a hidden area for the flight attendants to have a place to lay down and sleep. If you're flying on one of these long-haul flights and suddenly your flight attendant disappears for a while, it doesn't mean that she jumped out of the plane. It just means that she's probably taken a much-needed nap in the private area designed just for flight attendants. Number 15. Turbulence is worse in the back of the plane. Most flight attendants don't want passengers to know that the turbulence is worse in the back of the plane. This is because if all of the passengers know that, they'll be asking to sit in the front of the plane. Since there are only so many seats in the front, that could lead to issues between the passengers. Number 16. Sex on a plane. You won't expect this type of flight attendant to exist. Many people can say that they have been drunk on a plane. Thanks to this flight attendant, there are some people who can say that they had sex on a plane with their flight attendant. A flight attendant was fired because she was having sex with passengers for money in the bathroom on the plane. She charged over $2,000 per session, and she claims that while doing this, she has made close to $1 million. She stated that she was able to find someone willing to have sex with her for money on almost every flight that she worked on. She was able to get away with it for over 2 years. She was finally caught in a compromising position in the bathroom on the plane while it was in mid-flight. She was fired immediately. She stated that she was not too worried about being fired because she had a great deal of money stashed up from her escapades over the past 2 years. Subscribe for more!